Hi, welcome. Welcome back to Cardinal Rose Tarot. My name is Cynthia. Thank you for being here. I just kind of went off on one. I did an upload, or I just did a reading that's not really a reading at all, and it's not a typical reading for this channel. I'm speaking as a social worker in that upload, and then I do a tiny little reading at the end. But really, I just called some content creators out here in YouTube in the true crime community by name, and I spoke extensively from my position, from my training, and so I'm a little bit riled up from that still because I'm pissed off at the people that were doing it. And contrary to what she was implying, that doesn't mean I'm not a good therapist or I'm not thinking clearly. That means that I have a healthy respect for what this person is doing that is wrong, and I'm angry about it. That's what anger does for us. It's not always a toxic emotion, right? Anger is a catalyzer. It gets us activated when we see that injustice is happening and gets us to take action. And that's what it did for me to finally make that upload and just name that person and fucking call her bullshit out, because it's bullshit what she's doing. It's toxic. It's fucking pretty blonde girl, mean Mormon chick type shit. And I'm just gonna say it. I have a person like that in my family that is very comfortable critiquing and, oh, really? From a religious place, from a really well-meaning, warm, meanwhile gathering everything you say to use against you 10 years from then, right? She's a total narcissist. Okay, so I'm not saying Megan's a narcissist, but her behavior is fucking shady. Shady. And what else can I use my degree for if not to call shady shit out like that? So that's what I'm doing. So, oh yeah, and that's the other thing. Before I get into this reading, I wanted to just show a couple things. So I went and visited family. This is my late Uncle Dennis's flight jacket. So my Uncle Dennis fought in the Korean War in the Air Force, and then he went on to be an airman in the Air National Guard for the whole rest of his life. He never left. He did multiple missions for the National Guard. And this flight jacket is from a mission he did during Desert Storm, during the very first Gulf War, where Iraq invaded Kuwait, and then George Bush Sr. went in and stopped that, right? And I don't say this as like a warmonger. This is just a loving niece, proud of her warrior uncle, okay? I'm not taking a position on the war. I'm proud of my uncle who was a warrior. And this is his coat, and he was stationed in Saudi Arabia doing work to build up the aviation community there safely. And this was pre 9/11, so that's kind of interesting, right? But this is his patch. These are his wings that he had on here, and I just love this flight jacket. And and it says U.S. Air Force here on the arm. I just love it. It fits. It's way too big in the arms, but I'm so honored to have this jacket, and I just miss my Uncle Dennis. I haven't seen him. I never saw him. The last time I saw him was 20 years ago, and so I was really sad that I didn't get to see him before he died, but he didn't tell anyone that he was sick until he was literally dying, and that's when it came out. So I love this flight jacket. I'm so proud of my late Uncle Dennis. And then I was visiting my Uncle Skitch, who was a combat veteran in the Air Force in Vietnam. He was stationed in Da Trang. And so I have a couple things from him too, from his time, because he was in Vietnam, those soldiers were not treated the same. And so he didn't get any of his decorations. He's decorated, but he didn't get any of the decorations because they didn't tell him anything about how to file for him. A lot of times he didn't even have clothes. Like his military issue clothes were like threadbare, and my Uncle Dennis, who was now in the Guard, not even enlisted anymore, would have to send him some of his old fatigues and shit. So it was pretty crazy what Vietnam era veterans in the U.S. went through. And once again, that doesn't even cover what happened to the Vietnamese people. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not a warmonger here. I'm just proud of my uncles, and I'm a human being like anybody else in the world, right? So this was my uncle's t-shirt, because my uncle didn't even know what his unit's symbol was or his patch or anything. They never even issued any of it, but there was one. My Uncle Dennis went and researched it all for my Uncle Skitch, because my Uncle Dennis wanted him to have his respect as a war veteran. My Uncle Skitch was a war veteran, but he wasn't treated with respect that people like World War II and Korean War veterans were, right? So my Uncle Dennis went and found my Uncle Skitch's unit patch. I don't know what the name is for this. I wasn't in the military. And it says on it, my uncle had this made because he wanted his own, you know, witnessing and rep for what he did. And so this is his symbol. It says 14th Air Commando Wing in Nha Trang. This is where my Uncle Skitch was stationed in Vietnam. That's that. And then because he was such a huge Yosemite Sam fan from the time I was little, this is what I remember. And again, not warmongering here. This is my uncle, not me. So he had this Yosemite Sam image made up for himself because he's a huge fan. And it says, I don't think so. 14th Air Commando Wing, Nha Trang, Vietnam. So that was my uncle's way of finding his own peace with his war history and career, right? So I just wanted to share those things because that's my family's history. So what do we need to know in this collective? What's going to be important for us to know for a collective message? In fact, I just want to get some of this. Burn some cedar here to cleanse out the energy from the last reading because I was so frustrated, very frustrated with that person's conduct. And it got me really riled up. So now I'm going to try to burn some of that to cleanse that away. The community need to know. The talk might, or no, sorry, why do I always mix that up? Well, I'm going to just have to go with it because I'm mixing up pescado in this deck with birds, which birds can often mean gossip, and that's not what pescado means, but I've done it twice now, so now I'm wondering, is that what this card's going to come to mean for me? But it's like the end of talk is kind of what came through initially on first glance before I remembered it was a fish, but I'm going to run with that. It's like the end of talk. The end of gossip is coming up here, or the end of whisper, like a whisper campaign maybe. Let's see what else. So what I'm picking up here is a family betrayal. With this tree, El Pino here representing the family tree. La Mano in reverse representing like a, what's coming through for me is like a false camaraderie or a false handshake. Like I'm offering you my hand, but it's in reverse. So it's like a family betrayal here. What I'm picking up is that you don't really, they might be saying like, I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to have conflict. I want to end this conflict with you. I don't want to be at cross purposes with you. I want to end the conflict, but there's something disingenuous about it or fake. That's what I'm picking up here. Is that somebody's going to come to you and want to, you know, let's bury the hatchet. Let's really try to make up here. I don't want to fight. I think that's really destructive. You know, I'm really committed, but there's a falseness about it. So let's get into that and see what that's about here. What cards do I want to use? What tarot cards do I want to use? I'll use these guys. I haven't used these in quite a while. When I decided to start my channel and do card readings, I started on Instagram. This was the very first deck I bought for myself that I didn't already have. This was the deck I bought that was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start an Instagram doing card readings. I had my deck that I grew up with, but I only had one tarot deck. And so I was like, I'm going to get some new decks, right? So this is the first one. It's kind of a cool one to use here. So what do we need to know about this fake apology? There's like a fake or disingenuous gesture that someone's going to make in your family to try to make up or, you know, say they don't want to fight anymore, but there's some kind of falseness to it. What's this about, Spirit? Thank you for liking and subscribing if you like my work. What do we need to know, Spirit, about this apology for this collective message? Yeah, this is so shady. Okay, we're really picking up on a shady ass manipulator here. Okay, this is kind of related to the last reading in terms of what that can look like. So maybe you do want to go back and listen to the reading I just did about the true crime scandal content, because this is that exact message here. This is somebody, so we have like the Hierophant, the Five of Wands, the Ten of Cups, and the Seven of Wands in reverse. So this person's going to come to you like a Hierophant, like a spiritually wise person in the upright. And they're going to say, I don't want to fight anymore. Like, for some reason, I don't know why the Ten of Cups is here. Like, they might be really appealing to your own happiness, or like they may know that you don't want to fight with family, and that family is a vulnerability, and that they may know you well enough to know that they can try to get away with appealing to your sense of loyalty to family is coming through. And they're going to be coming through like this wise spiritual person and saying, I don't want to fight anymore. I think it's wrong. It's bad. We shouldn't be fighting with each other. We're family. Let's end this conflict. Let's bury this conflict. It's not good, right? They are wanting to offer to end the conflict. Again, they feel and are trying to tell you that it's a vulnerability. This is here in duplicate, 222 right here. And they're trying to tell you, no, let's have a new beginning. Let's step through the door into a new beginning. They might even be telling you, you're wise like me, okay? Let's double up. Let's work together. We shouldn't be fighting. It's not to either of our advantage. You're a high priestess. I'm a high priest. For some of you, it might be like a brother. For other people, it might be a romantic partner. But I got family for most people from your family line. So they might be appealing to your ego. This is all manipulation. Okay, that's all a manipulation. But it's a very, very good manipulation. And it's right here. And they're trying to prevent a judgment day for themselves, because they think by making up with you, maybe it's going to give them cover in some way, or it's going to, prevent this horrible downfall. But in the meantime, they're watching and waiting. They've been watching you. They've been assessing you, right? They've been trying to figure out how to get back in with you, because they're a devil. They're not a Hierophant. Okay, this person is highly manipulative. This is somebody like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the book, but it's called Elmer Gantry, and it's about a charlatan tent revival preacher that traveled all around the South as a preacher preaching the word of God, but really he was a charlatan. He was stealing people's money. He was sleeping with their wives, right? He was a huge sinner, right? And it's like, okay, fine, go be a sinner. Don't now call yourself a preacher and then try to, that's a horrible abuse, right? And that's what's coming through here. Somebody like Elmer Gantry that is very good at what they do. They're going to come in and really sell you, on their take, but they're a devil, okay? They're not being sincere. They're not being sincere. What are they going to try to do? What are they going to try to tell you here? We already know that they're going to try to tell you that they don't want to fight anymore, that they don't think they might be going to propose an idea to you, like, let's work together because we're so strong. I see that you're this wise person. Maybe I didn't treat you like that before, right? They're just going to really appeal to your ego. It's a very calculated manipulation that they're planning. What's behind, what are their hidden motives, right? To use hidden true crimes phrasing. What is this person's hidden motives here? You might know something about these folks that would look really bad for them. So I'm thinking about, let's just use an example of like, what's a good example? So someone like me, let's use me as an example. This isn't how I comport myself, but if I were like, yeah, you know, I'm really, interested in helping people recover from trauma, and I'm gonna do this for them. And then I put on this retreat that's supposed to be about like, if you've been the survivor of a horrible narcissism, come to this retreat and we're gonna all heal collectively as a group. But meanwhile, I'm like gathering all your information and like researching you behind the scenes and doing a lot of secretive stuff so that when you arrive at my retreat, I seem like this guru that knows all about you intimately because I can see into your soul. Well, really what I was doing was researching you and learning about you from the internet and from looking at your social, right? It's that kind of thing. You may know that about them now, and the fact that you know that could expose them, and they're very concerned. And so now they're wanting to come in and be like, wait, you know, love triangle for some people. For some people, it might be a partnership, like a high priestess and high priest. It might be a couple, right? This is your ex or something. And for other people, it's just a partner that you might have worked with, collabed with on some stuff. And they're going to say, I have all these ideas. Like, let's work together. Let's travel. Let's launch something together, right? Like, let's work together. It's all a ploy, because they don't want you to expose them in some way. This is coming out because of the content that I chose to bring out, which is like exploitation and such, right? So we're getting kind of some messaging around that. What else do we need to know about this person that's going to come in and offer this apology? They're going to be very good at it. I kind of have the feeling that you're not really thinking that much about this person anymore. And so they are very focused on you. You might not even really, this person might not cross your mind that often, but it's family or an ex, and they're going to come forward, and it's all a big illusion. It's a big lie. And it's because they feel like you have something on them, or you know something about them that could really hurt them if it came out. And so they're like trying to preemptively like come in and butter you up and get you on something so that never happens. They're mentally and emotionally unstable. Is this what this person is doing that's going to come in and do this? They're a manipulator, highly manipulative. Ice King in reverse, just like this Hierophant, right? They're very manipulative. They're going to offer money. And, you know, bring this as like let's get rich together, right? Like, we have something. I think we could, you know, let's bury the hatchet because I know you're so good at what you do, right? Well, this is all a big sham. They're mentally and emotionally unstable. They're worried about this information coming out. They may have been doing spell work, okay? They might be your competitor in terms of like esotericism or something. And they're doing, it's like a dark manipulation to convince you of something or to lower your guard. Yeah, they're doing, here it is in the upright. They're doing, I was about to say, it doesn't have to be spell work. It can just be being highly manipulative, like gaslighting. Here it's actually spell work. They're doing spell work. They're going to come in and love bomb you. They might be doing esoteric practices to try to get you to lower your guard so that when they do come towards you, you're open, or you're going to be duped or fall into the trap, right? All kinds of stuff like that is going on here, and it's where the energy is headed in the devil position. Yeah, you don't trust them. Don't trust them. They're going to come in and it's going to be very flowery and perfumey and seem very wise what they're saying. They're not to be trusted. Obsession in the reverse. I don't know what that means. I think it's what I was just saying. they may be fixated on you, but you haven't even really thought very much about this person in a while, okay? Yeah, because you're a starseed. You're just doing your own work, and this person knows that, and they're worried and jealous because you do have a good reputation. They know that if they're on your bad side, they're starting to realize that that's not going to be good for them. And so they're going to panic and come in, but it's deception again. It's a karmic masculine. It's it for some of you. And this Ice King in reverse, for some of you, it's a lover, right? That sees now that they want to try to pull you back in to their web. Because you're a rising star. I can't make it up, because they see that this is really good for you, and it's potentially going to be really bad for them. Yeah, they're a bad spiritualist. They are again, to use the example that I used in the last upload, there's somebody that's putting themselves out there as someone that should be listened to, but they're shady, they're manipulative, they're exploitational. They're exploiting people's faith. But they don't like that you are good and trusted in doing what you're doing. Maybe you're a reader, right? And they're your competition as an esoteric practitioner, right? You're not competing. You're not obsessed. You're just in your own lane, doing your own race. And this person's decided, okay, so now that's the story. I don't need to go too much more into that at this point. What I'll do to kind of wrap this up for you, now that we know what's going on and what the story is, we'll just do some advice. It's saying don't trust them. That's the first advice. You can know that they're not sincere when they show up like this. They're not coming from a sincere or authentic place. They're trying to save their own ass, and they're trying to get rich off of the fact that you are trusted. And if they hitch their wagon to you, they're going to reap the benefits of that. Well, it's exploitation, like we just said. So now, to close this out, I'm just going to pull some advice cards. What are some advice for you to know when this person shows up? What's your advice? What's your advice for this situation? Oh shoot, my own little oracle deck is packed away still in my luggage in the other area, so I won't be able to do that. But what's some advice? What's some advice for you now that this has come out? You're going to have a choice to make, Two of Pentacles, about how to move forward. What's some advice? Love it. I love it, love it, love it. So the situation is the conflict. You've had the conflict with this person in the past. You've had a falling out. You're conflicted about them. You rightly identified, like, I don't want this person around anymore. I don't feel good about them. For a lot of you, it was family. For a lot of you, it was an ex-partner. And you ended the relationship based on that. You were pretty clear about it. The challenge maybe has been moving forward a little bit. It might have been hard to move forward from this and into your own sort of successful solo endeavor, having ended this, but you've you maybe wanted to get the hell out of Dodge really quickly, and it's been harder to extract yourself from the situation than you thought. But that's a lesson, right? You've learned from it. And the main sort of the main idea of this whole reading is that you picked yourself up and move forward wiser, right? You focused on the 2 cups that were still standing from the conflict and move forward, not in the relationship, but for your own self. You had to reassess, like, okay, well, that was a disappointment. That person betrayed me. I don't want to be in a relationship with them anymore. But I know I'm going to be okay. I'll just move on and focus on what is positive in my life. It's that kind of thing is what you've done and what you've made out of the situation. It was the wise approach. Your advice now, when this person comes around and tries to sell you this, package that's an illusion, is Knight of Swords energy. So that's to pretty swiftly shut it down by reminding them of the former scorecard, right? Like, okay, I hear you. You're saying you want to come in and you want to work with me and you feel badly. Boom, 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 boom. You're just going to have your list ready of all the ways that you felt exploited or harmed by them, realized it wasn't good for them. You can even say, like, what have you done to change that? Like, put them on the spot. It's Knight of Swords. That's your advice. It's to not hold back. Don't mince words. Deliver your message right back to this person in the moment. You don't need to go and deliberate and whatever. You're going to feel a way when this person comes to you and says all this. It's going to piss you off. And then they might also be sort of sounding convincing. It's just saying go with your initial gut, which is frustration and anger at this person, because you know that they're trying to manipulate you again. So just deliver that. That's what it's saying. Just be candid, be upfront. No, I don't buy it. I don't buy what you're saying. I don't believe you. You don't have to hold back. This is your advice. It's to be truly honest with them about what happened and about what went down, and say, I'm not cool with how you did this. I'm not cool with how you did that. Because what they're going to do is come in and be like, oh, both sides, like try to convince. That's gaslighting, okay? And there was no both sides here. You were fucked over in the situation. That's what's coming through. There is no both sides. There's no like, let's make up. Fighting is dumb. It's like, no, you know better. I know what happened. I know that I was triangulated against or whatever. I know that you operated against me in a shady way. I didn't forget. I'm not stupid. If you need me to, let me lay it out again, right? Like, that's your advice, is to deal with this person like that. It's to not let them gaslight you, to not let them get you into like, oh yeah, takes two to tank, whatever. No, that's your advice. So I hope this is helpful. I hope that you enjoy my channel and you enjoy my work, and I hope you'll come back for future readings. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.